Can anyone explain to me how I have 2 degrees? I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra along with the 2 degrees, you know? I'm trying to apply for jobs right now, and the thing is that the only person I have responding to me is a man from a tech company saying, "Hey, you want to answer some customer service problems? You want to answer some customer service calls?"
Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about something that is quite troubling that is going on across the United States of America. It's been happening for a long time, considering the degree inflation that we've seen now that everybody believes that they want to go to college. And that is this report from News 6 about how college graduates are finding it more and more difficult to find jobs post-graduation, despite the fact that they're being told constantly that the economy is booming. Look at the unemployment rate. The fact of the matter is, a lot of them got degrees and skills that are not viable for the economy, and it's quite troubling. Now, we're going to get into this, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Your support is really appreciated.
Right in the middle of college graduation season, and there's one very important question on most new grads' minds. How does the job market look?
Recent study indicates it might be getting a little harder.
So like this local news report leads off, a recent study shows that it's becoming more and more difficult for recent college graduates to enter the job market. They're not finding the jobs that they want. However, I do need to give a couple of caveats when I'm discussing this, because there's a lot of people who aren't entirely honest, or maybe they're not being dishonest, but they don't understand the numbers in the way that they should. So first and foremost, if you are successful in the United States of America, then likely you are holding a college degree. It's just a fact in terms of the numbers. We're talking about the on averages and whatnot. However, what people tend to misunderstand about those numbers, about those things, is that the college degree is more of an effect of being a successful, intelligent, driven person rather than the cause of somebody's actual success. This is something that we've gotten wrong a lot in the United States of America, and you'll often hear people cite different amazingly intelligent people that dropped out of college as examples of people who didn't need to go to college in order to be successful. And yes, while that is true, you need to understand that there's a reason they were in those Ivy League institutions in the first place. Of course, I'm talking about Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all these different other various people. These people were so high on the success spectrum in terms of their intelligence, business acumen, or innovation ability that they didn't need to go to university, and they found it to be less productive for them to finish university, even if they were already attending it. So the success was due to the people that were selected for university, and we tended to treat, in terms of American society, college as the cause rather than the effect. I hope that's understood pretty well by everybody out there in the audience. So we do have grade inflation, we do have degree inflation, but most of this is because we have people that would not have normally gone to college in the first place, and they're not going for degrees that are viable in the economy, so they're not getting a result that they expected, but that expectation was not based on reality.
Our Bella Caracta is on your side with a deeper look into the landscape of hiring for these new degree holders.
Banyan Neese had never been to Nebraska before college.
I literally just came out here, took a total leap of faith.
He's from Hawaii. His dad has a background in trade work, but Neese has a knack for finance.
Literally every single day is different. We're always reacting to the market, learning about new companies, new industries.
The past 4 years, he's been building a resume.
Looking for full-time roles, maybe like a year and a half out.
So they start off interviewing a student who, by the way, leads this trend to seem even more troubling than what I described earlier, because this is a finance guy. This is a guy who went to school for finance, an applicable skill in the economy, a math skill, a skill that you have to have high IQ in order to engage with, and even he has to pad his resume and do all these different various things, and he's struggling to find work. Now, they go on to get into a little bit of the numbers, and I'm going to explain to you that while they sound kind of small and like they're no big deal, how they're actually quite dramatic.
According to the latest report by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, it's taking longer for graduates to find a job, from 5.5 months last year to 6 months this year.
So in terms of the numbers, they don't sound all that major, all that serious, because it just sounds like 15 days. They say it used to take the average college graduate 5.5 months in order to find a job, but now it's taking them 6 months, according to these forecasts for the class of 2024. And again, you could forgive yourself for not thinking that that's a big deal. But the thing is, most people aren't the average. Most people with the high-end talented professions already have a job lined up for them by the time that they graduate. In fact, if you're going to school at a good law school, normally you have a summer associate position. Normally you have an offer even before you complete the bar. So when you graduate, you actually start working there. And then when you complete the bar, you end up in a situation where you join a firm as an attorney again, and that's zero downtime except for the time that you took to take the bar. So a lot of these people in these high-end careers typically, on average, usually would get jobs even before they graduate. So what's actually ending up happening is not the average is being moved, but those people who are further down on the line that take longer to find a job post-university are getting pushed back even more dramatically, because what you have to think about is that in order for that 5.5 months to be extended 15 days in order to be 6 months on average, when you have tens of thousands of students graduating from university in any given year, that means that a lot of people that were already far down on the spectrum are being pushed even further in terms of when they can find employment and are not being hired in their field at all whatsoever. And that's making things more and more difficult. And that is what is skewing the average. So what you're seeing right here is that a lot of good paying positions might even be a little bit delayed. They might be still getting hired, but it's just a little bit later. But a lot of those fringe degrees that were all ready to find work after getting are being extended far more dramatically. And that's what ends up occurring on that range, and that's why we have an extension. And some of these students are not ever finding work. And in fact, we have some numbers on the decline in that.
According to that same study, it's also expected hiring for the class of 2024 to drop by nearly 2%.
So yeah, we're expecting about a 2% drop in the total number of people that are hired from the university. And remember, we weren't at 100% before, but again, that's among tens of thousands of people, tens of thousands of students that went to university for 4 to 6 years, took on debt in order to cover their tuition, that are no longer going to be hired even at the 6 months, even beyond that, based on the current conditions of the economy. And this is while we're all told that the economy advantages labor. This is while we're seeing signs in a bunch of different places that didn't pass a minimum wage promising escalated wages even for jobs that didn't pay all that well, like fast food, due to the labor crunch.
In a tough, tight job market, it really is the little things that stand out.
According to the senior director of Creighton's Career Center, new graduates are looking for jobs that typically require a college degree.
Corporate to nonprofit to healthcare to government organizations.
Those jobs are just getting more competitive. At major companies like Google, Amazon, and UPS, they've announced scaling back on hiring.
It might not be first job out of college, but maybe that's that second or third destination after college.
Now, you know it's bad when the career development guy from the university is trying to soften the blow for the students, and he has to say very dumb things that should be obvious to everyone, like people graduating from university typically will look for jobs where a university degree is part of the qualifications for said job. And if you're not doing this, if you're not getting a degree that's going to help you in your job search, then yeah, a good chance you are wasting your time. Not in all cases, but definitely that is a huge problem. And the fact of the matter is, you have all these different various companies scaling back on their hiring, and there's a bunch of different factors that play into it. First and foremost, we have the issues of inflation. We have the issues, which is the response to inflation, of the interest rates rising. So a lot of these companies rely on credit, and money is just more and more expensive. So they've had to scale back hiring in response to current economic conditions due to the fact that we had so much crazy COVID spending. And this is why we're in this weird situation where the unemployment rate is definitely low. However, you have all these different companies that are not hiring. They're becoming more stringent in their hiring, and a lot of them are pulling back on the benefits that they used to offer all these different employees, which is honestly pretty terrible if you went to school for a good degree, like you went for computer engineering and whatnot, and you thought you were going to work in a company like Google Google or Facebook or whatever, and they're just not hiring even those people who actually deal with the company, deal with the product, not the diversity, woke DEI hires that work in HR and all these other various things in order to pad their numbers. And it's honestly quite sad. Now, they do have a student who says something that I do believe to be true, but again, even this is a bit troubling.
Ultimately, Neese believes it's networking that's allowed him to secure a job right here in Omaha.
The thing about education is it's definitely an investment.
Now look, this is a finance kid. According to the local news, for all we know, he could be terrible at finance. The local news, not exactly the most honest institution in the world, although we rely on them heavily and we do appreciate them. And he says, look, it's about networking. That's how he was able to secure the job. And he always viewed his degree as an investment. And this is a good way to view it. But another thing that I will point out that I don't like about this particular individual, however, again, it's not anything personal against him, is that he went to Nebraska for university, and there is a chance that he could have got his degree in state at a state school, and thus it would have been less expensive for him to do so. Now, maybe his university has a finance program, so we'll just say we don't know in that moment, but if you have kids and you're thinking about sending them to college, I highly recommend a much cheaper state school for most degrees, the overwhelming majority of them, where you can pay in-state tuition and having your kid commute to university. Now, you might lose out on certain advantages like a broader network and whatnot, but your cost, your investment in the university will be much less typically, and that should help you. I'm somebody who did this myself. I went to a community college, transferred to a four-year college, got my degree, only took on $2,000 worth of debt, and that was because I was tired of taking semesters off in order to work enough to save up the amount for tuition for the next semester. My last year, I just wanted to graduate cleanly, and honestly, the fact that I had so little student loan debt is probably what allowed me to actually start this YouTube channel, because I didn't have all these different various loans that were unmanageable that were going to force me into a job that I didn't like. So I definitely recommend it. On top of that, the fact that the class cost was not super expensive for me is probably one of the reasons that I decided to forego getting my master's and my bachelor's at the same time and use one of my electives for video production courses. The one course that had practical application for me that basically is related to how I've made all of my money post-college, which was learning to edit, really ended up creating a huge portion of this channel. So look, I'm not knocking university blanketly. I understand that there's wokeisms and there's all these other issues that go on in terms of politics, but just down to brass tacks, what we actually have to worry about, what we actually have to be concerned about in terms of finances, what regular people worry about, in-state is the way to go. State schools are the way to go in most cases. Now, again, special programs, scholarships, all these other different things that could change the math for you might change that equation, but the fact of the matter is, for most degrees, the overwhelming majority of them, you don't have to go into as much debt in order to get them, and this even applies to practical degrees like nursing and all other kinds of things that will actually generate you a real income post-graduation. So yeah, while this definitely is a bad outlook and a rude awakening for a lot of different children and parents who ended up going to the university that they thought would be the most fun, that had the biggest water park to study sociology or whatever, in reality and actuality, as long as you follow the basic principles and are thoughtful about where you enroll, how much you're borrowing, and what you're realistically going to get with that degree when you graduate, you could still make university work out for you. And yes, I do love and appreciate the trades, and I will say, if you're going to go out and get a degree in worthlessness, if you're going to go to college in order to find yourself, if you think attending university is going to get you a job quickly with applicable skills, then no, that's not the case, and maybe you should consider the trades. Maybe you should consider a good career, oftentimes with union benefits, or at least good benefits, that will have you working with your hands, that is satisfying and honorable work, despite what the mainstream media will portray it to be. But hey, you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the struggles for people with college degrees finding work. Till next time.